Hello Crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so happy you're joining me again today. Today I am back with a very spring card for reverse confetti using some of my favorite products. Now I'm starting out with my background and I am using a die cut piece of Canson Montval 300 GSM cardstock. I die cut it with the stitched scallop background panel by Reverse Confetti. And I just spritzed it with water to get the color flowing, and then I dropped in some Ecoline paints. These are gorgeous liquid watercolor paints, and I really love them. I don't use them nearly enough, but they're perfect for backgrounds like this. Now you can see that I heat set the first layer. I'm splattering on some more paint, spritzing it with more water. That's just clean water in the spritz bottle, the spray bottle. And I'm just adding color, heat setting it in between to get all of those lovely textures. I'm using two different greens, and I'm also using some yellow and some what I thought was darker yellow, but it's really orange. So that didn't work out too well, but I think it worked out in the end because I dabbed most of it away. Now I'm making this background, but I also made a separate piece of cardstock, just the same, with the same paints, the same techniques. I just played around with it some more. That's this one. I just took some Canson Montval 300 GSM paper for that as well, but this is just a scrap. And I'm going to die cut my hello die from that. And that will make it look like the background almost continues on in the sentiment. You will see it later. Or maybe you've already seen it in the picture. Now I'm just heat setting it in between with my heat tool. That's why I'm working on this wood surface instead of my cutting mat. Wood doesn't warp under the heat of your heat tool, so that's perfect for it. And then I'm taking some images from the Enchanted Garden stamp set, also by Reverse Confetti, of course. And I'm stamping those with my favorite things, extreme black ink, onto Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM cardstock. Now later on, I will also stamp this again, just put it back in my MISTI. I left the stamps in place with Versafine Onyx black ink, and I will emboss it with Wow Clear Gloss Superfine Embossing Powder. And I wish I would have shown you, but I forgot to zoom back out after my coloring, so none of it was on screen. You'll just have to take my word for it that I did it. And the reason I do that is I love my alcohol markers these days. I had a hard time getting to know them, but I'm pretty comfortable with them now, I'd say, and I really love using them. However, I really miss the embossed outline I would use when I did watercoloring. I still do some watercoloring sometimes. But I figured if I just stamped in a marker-friendly ink first, then left the stamps back in my just left the stamps in my MISTI, and then put the paper back in to stamp in the exact same spot with some embossing ink or some Versafine Onyx black ink, I would get the best of both worlds. So that's what I've been doing for a while now. I colored in the images with a bunch of alcohol markers, and then I can start on assembling my card. I'm using this Hello from the Hello Daisy cover panel, and also by Reverse Confetti, of course. I cut the shadow layer 3 times out of white and once out of that holographic gold cardstock. And for the scripty layer with the flowers on there, I die cut it also 3 times out of thick white cardstock and once from that green watercolor background. I'm just layering them all together with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue, and you can see that I'm fussing with it because there were a lot of dye hairs on there, and I'm just scraping those off as I go. I recently got a new die cutting machine and it die cuts a lot better, but there are a lot of more die cut hairs as far as I can tell. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, or maybe that's just normal, I'm not sure, but that's what you saw me fiddling with there. Now I glued that background onto a top folding white note card, and I am gluing the stacked sentiments on there right in the center, and then I can also add some of those flowers. These come with the Hello Daisy cover panel die, and I just die cut them from colored cardstock, from orange and from pink, and I'm putting them on there with a jewel picker because I find that really handy. I'm adhering those with Barely Art Precision Craft glue. And then once those are in place, I can also add in a little bit of shading, a little bit of detail with some alcohol markers. I'm not being fancy with it. I'm just adding some more color to the center. Then I'm propping up that fairy and the butterfly on 4 layers of foam tape to make sure they pop on up over that hello. And I also added 2 foam squares to the ladybugs. And that finishes off my card, except for the embellishments, of course. I'm adding embellishments. I'm adding some stickles to the fairy wings. I love adding glitter to clear wings or wings that are supposed to be clear. I feel like it gives them a little bit more magic. And then I'm also doing the same for the ladybugs, although these wings are tiny and you don't really see it. And then to the center of the flowers, I'm adding some Nuvo crystal drops. These are the ivory seashell color. And that is really it. Now, just a matching envelope. I chose to use green for this envelope, a really dark, rich green. And I'm just using my We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board to fold an A2 size envelope with that. I can reinforce the score lines with my bone folder before adhering it all together with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue. And once that's all adhered together, I am going to embellish this envelope just a little bit. I'm using those tiny bug stamps that I used on the card as well. These are, again, from the Enchanted Garden stamp set. And I'm stamping them with some Pinkfresh Studio ink. I am not sure which ink I used. I will list it down below, but it's slipping my mind right now. I'm just adding a couple bugs here and there and that butterfly right on the flap of the envelope. And that's my project for today, all finished, all done. I really love how this card turned out. I am so ready for spring. I can't wait for the trees to turn green again and for all the flowers to bloom. I can't wait for the butterflies and the ladybugs. I just want some sun now. It's been long enough for winter. I hope you like this card and I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. You can also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos. And if you want more inspiration for reverse confetti, I highly recommend you check out the playlist I linked right on top of this video and that you also visit their blog. I will leave that linked in the description below. I am on there today with this card. But there's more inspiration from all the design team members from Reverse Confetti, and I love reading that blog. It's just so full of colorful projects. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.